What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Before we get this video started, I want to point out that you guys will be watching some Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 in the background, and I really struggle playing these games because of the skill-based matchmaking, which it is what it is, but I mean, I'm not good at the game or great at the game by any means, so when I'm playing against sweats, it doesn't really go well. Also, you're going to see in this game where I'd go to call in one of my kill streaks, and it just refuses to work. So the game still needs some work, but I just figured I'd give you guys some stuff to watch and pay attention to in the background while I talk about the things we're going to talk about today. So I do want to get started by talking about what happened in the Michigan Stadium tunnel at the end of Michigan State versus Michigan. As you all know, I'm a Michigan fan, so I was very pleased to see that we thoroughly beat Michigan State. Obviously, we would like to turn those field goals into touchdowns, but I mean, you didn't need to in that game. You know, in Ohio State, against Ohio State, you're gonna have to turn those into touchdowns. So I wasn't really too worried about that. 29-7, it was a thorough beatdown. But after the game, Michigan State showed that they can't handle a beatdown. What happened was two Michigan players, Jaden McBurrows and Jamon Green, were jumped by several Michigan State players. I think now 8 of them have been suspended. I'm sure you guys have all seen the videos, so I'm not going to post the videos or anything like that, but I mean, they're very easy to go watch. They're all over Twitter, YouTube. You can find them anywhere. But I really just wanted to talk about that because Mel Tucker, I believe this is his 3rd year at Michigan State, and he had been 2-0 against Michigan. One of those I don't really count. It was the COVID year, and I don't think anybody was playing their best football during that time, especially with no fans in the crowd. I think it would have been a different story. And then last year, he had Kenneth Walker, who was a transfer from Wake Forest, who had went off. And I think that gave Mel Tucker a very big ego, especially when it comes to playing against Michigan, because Michigan State, really, the only game that matters on their schedule is the Michigan game. So we can see that they're not a great team, but they're going to give it everything they have when they play us. But with Mel Tucker, though, I think that what happened in the tunnel, I think that starts with Mel Tucker. I don't think that starts with the players. I think that starts with Mel Tucker. And I've seen a lot of analysts go on there and talk about, well, now they're going to talk about culture with Michigan State. And maybe they do because, I mean, if you have several players, not just one, you have several players acting like that, I think it starts with the coach, and I think it works its way down. So we'll see what Michigan State ends up doing with Mel Tucker, but I think he has potential to be a good coach. I just think that they got an attitude over there that, not only for football but just for life. If you can't handle being down, then you're going to really struggle to, lift yourself back up. So that's what it really showed me. Harbaugh has already talked about no excuses at all. So you can blame the tunnel all you want. But I saw somebody tweet this out. I can't remember the name, so I can't give them credit. But they tweeted out, why is it that we've only ran into these problems consistently over the last 2 years? Because in my lifetime watching Michigan football, you've had a little scuffles, trash talk, but it's becoming a problem now. I'll tell you why it's becoming a problem. It's not a tunnel problem. It's a Michigan football is winning problem. And I think that's what it boils down to is a lot of teams are used to beating Michigan, especially since like 2005, 2006 time. A lot of teams are getting used to really beating Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State especially. Well, now that Michigan is now what I would consider a powerhouse, I think that teams are very frustrated losing to them, and I think that they can't handle taking that loss. So my hat goes off to Michigan. We'll talk about them later. I don't want this to all just be negativity surrounding Michigan because they've been playing very great football this year, and I'll tell you why they're going to win the national championship through my eyes. But I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. I know everybody has seen it, so I don't want to get too deep into it because I'm a little late to the party, but I wanted to at least touch up on it. But I know that Michigan is going to be well on their way to playing Rutgers, and I think that that's what we're waiting for there is Rutgers, and I think Michigan will be ready to go for that game. But next I wanted to talk about the college football playoff a little bit. I was a little disappointed, but at the same time, these first college football rankings, they don't mean anything. Just like preseason rankings, they don't mean anything. In my personal opinion, you win out, you're in. Nobody on this schedule, nobody in this top 6, if they win out, isn't going to go to the college football playoff, other than maybe Alabama. But let me talk about that. So we'll start with number 6. They have Alabama at number 6. Thought that was very interesting to not have TCU in the top 6 because TCU being undefeated and Alabama having the loss, I think it's only fair. And TCU has played a little inconsistent, but they haven't lost. So you can't hold that against them. So having TCU at number 7 is kind of criminal to me. Doesn't really make sense. But Alabama's a great team. They are every year. Nick Saban, probably the greatest college football coach of all time. There's no debating that. But Alabama this year, I just don't think they have the same team that they had a year ago, even previous years. I think Bryce Young is a good quarterback, but I think that the hype is kind of dying down on him a little bit. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I don't understand what it's like to be a quarterback or an elite quarterback. But I just think that the hype may just be dying down. I think the Alabama defense was expected to be a lot better coming in this season, and they have been good, but you got to look at the Tennessee game. I believe the final score is 52-49. If you're giving up 52 points, that is not a good defense. I don't care how good that offense is. But Alabama's a good team. I think putting them at 6 is not the right call. I think they should be at number 7 in my personal opinion. But I have no problem with that being there because if Alabama doesn't go to the conference championship, there is no way that, which I think they are going to end up going to the conference championship because I think that they will win out the rest of the season. But they do have a game against LSU at LSU. That one's going to be interesting, so stay tuned on that one. I don't know what's going to really happen there, but LSU at home can be a very dangerous team, so we'll see. But I want to move on now to number 5, and they got Michigan here. Now, let me tell you why I think, we'll talk about Clemson as well during the talk about Michigan, but let me tell you why I think that is terrible. I think it's terrible because I've watched Clemson play this year, here and there. They had to use their backup quarterback to beat Syracuse and had to bench their starter. They are not a good football team. Their defense is going to be dominant, as they consistently are every year. But that offense, we saw it last year, and then we're seeing it again this year. Yes, they're undefeated, but I don't think they're that great of a team. I think that if Michigan and Clemson were to play right now, neutral site, I think Michigan could thoroughly dominate them. Now, let me tell you why. Michigan has the best running game in the country, in my opinion, barring like Navy, Army, Air Force. They're run-heavy teams, so aside from them. Their O-line is on pace to winning the Best O-line award again for the second straight year. We saw what Michigan's O-line could do against Big Ten talent, but I struggle to see what they could do against SEC talent. But ACC talent, I think that Michigan's O-line could handle Clemson, especially over the last 2 years, what we've seen out of Clemson. They're not built to win a championship. Michigan is now being built to win a championship. We saw the start of that last year. But I think Michigan, with the running game that they have, they don't need to pass the ball that much. There will come a time where they're going to need a big 3rd down and 8 pickup through the air, and they got to get it. And I think that I have a lot of faith in J.J. McCarthy, but as long as you can stay ahead of the chains and keep Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards going, Michigan's offense is going to do its thing. If you can run for 300 yards in a game, you do not need to pass. With that being said, their defense is also one of the most dominant in the country by far. Their pass rush is honestly better this year than it was last year with guys like Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo. The pass rush is better. You can look at their production. They have more sacks through these first 8 games than they did last year. And then in the secondary, I think that they are iffy, but I think the secondary is built to defeat an Ohio State team. And we saw it last year, and I think we'll see it again this year. The only thing is probably middle linebacker. I like Junior Colson a lot. I think he's very good. But I think one more year and then he becomes an elite middle linebacker. So that's all that I'm waiting for there. But I'm not going to really touch on Clemson. I think they should probably be number 5. But having them at number 4 is criminal to me. So we're just going to move past them. They'll show us why they're not a playoff team here soon. I guarantee you they will not be going to the playoff. At number 3, they have Georgia. Now here's another thing. I don't think Georgia should be number 3. I think keep Georgia at number 1 until this weekend, because this weekend Georgia and Tennessee are going to play, and then we'll truly see who is the best team in the SEC. I think it's Georgia, but Tennessee is playing some very high-level offense, so there's no debating that. But they have Georgia at 3. We've seen what Stetson Bennett can do this year, and when I first watched him, I think it was the COVID year, when I was first watching Stetson Bennett, I said, man, who is this guy? He looks like a dork out there. But man, he has grown into not just a game manager, but a high-level college football quarterback. And with him at quarterback, they are a better team than, previous years with quarterbacks that they had. We saw they brought in JT Daniels, and JT Daniels couldn't get it done. Stetson Bennett, the guy who nobody really knows about, is a high-level quarterback at the college football level. And then Georgia's defense, we already know about their defense. So dominant. I think that's going to be the matchup this Saturday. Georgia and Tennessee. Tennessee's offense versus Georgia's defense. Who's the better of the two? Because I'm going to say, going on a limb and say it's going to be Georgia's defense. But that's going to be an interesting game. But having Georgia at number 3 is fair, but I would personally probably put them at number 1. At number 2, they have Ohio State. Once again, this is different from what I would pick. But Ohio State's done their thing this year. But they have shown me that they are a very beatable team. You can look at the score of the game versus Iowa, and you'll call me crazy for saying that Iowa could have beat those guys. You'll call me crazy. But Iowa's offense was so bad that their offense was beating Iowa's defense, if that makes any sense at all. Iowa's offense was so bad that Iowa never had a chance, even though their defense was pulling out stops. When Ohio State's getting the ball at your 35, your 40, every drive, and your defense is still holding them to 3 points, that's crazy. That is crazy. And Iowa's defense held strong for the first half, and I want to say even the first 3 quarters, before they just got too tired. They were on the field too much, and but they played hard. And if Iowa's defense had a better offense, I think Iowa could have pulled that upset off for sure. But Iowa's offense was so bad. And then you look at the Penn State game, and Penn State had a beat as well. Into the fourth quarter, you're up 21-16, and then JTT, I'm not going to try and say his last name, but he went off for Ohio State. And Ohio State can show you that they can strike just like that. That's what makes them dangerous. But Penn State is not on the level of Michigan football. I'm going to be honest. Michigan football is built to beat Ohio State. They're going to beat Ohio State. And that's where I'm going to move on to number 1 team. They got Tennessee. Yeah, I mean, they've looked great all year. Their defense has looked great at times. Their offense is spectacular. There's really no debating that Tennessee is easily, in my personal opinion, the most electrifying and potentially best team in college football. But only time will tell. This Saturday is going to be a challenge for them. Georgia, Tennessee, stay tuned for that game. That one's going to be a good one. But before we end the video here, I wanted to kind of tell you guys what my top 6 would be. First, we'll start out. I would have Alabama at number 7. And then number 6, I would have Tennessee. Number 5, I would have Clemson. Number 4, I would have Ohio State. Number 3, I would have Michigan. Number 2, I would have Tennessee. And number 1, I would have Georgia. That would be my top 4. Call me biased, but going off the matchup last year, Michigan is, Ohio State's offense can do anything that they want throughout the first 11 games. But that last game is what matters, and I'm so excited for it to potentially be an 11-0 versus 11-0 matchup. Potentially another game of the century. We'll see. But I just wanted to get on here and talk about the incident that happened at Michigan Stadium and the first college football playoff rankings that I don't really agree with, but only time will tell. If Michigan wins out, that's all you got to do. You're going to be in the playoffs. So that's going to do it for this video. Like I said, got this Call of Duty gameplay in the background. I'm not too good, but I just hope you guys enjoyed watching something while I speak. And I look forward to doing this more. Also, if you guys have any suggestions of things that you want me to talk about, I'm down to talk about anything. As long as it's not politically, like a political thing, I'm down to talk about anything, sports, games, anything you guys want to talk about, leave a comment down below and we'll speak about it and we'll have a good time and just sit here and chill. I think this is the direction that I want to go in. Just kind of have a game in the background, just chill and talk to you guys. Also, I want to say thank you for the great response that you guys gave the Michigan State versus Michigan hype video. Never done anything like that, but that was honestly very fun. And I will say stay tuned because there's more in the works like that coming soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.